welcome back to this new gadget report. And today we finalize this special month of November dedicated to MH370 and the extensive investigations that have been done about this aircraft and its disappearance. As you know, last week we spoke about Richard Godfrey's report and why my first video earlier this year was not entirely accurate due to some inconsistencies on that report. And I was alerted for these inconsistencies in Mr. Godfrey's report by Ed Anderson, and this would triggered this huge investigation, me studying and researching about all of this and preparing this special month that we had in this November. So last week we clarified what were the inconsistencies and why Mr. Godfrey's report was not entirely accurate. And today we move on and we talk about Ed Anderson. Ed Anderson was the investigator that actually left a kind comment on my first video, and from there everything happened and I started researching and preparing these two fantastic videos for you. So stick around. Today we will be talking about Mr. Anderson and his amazing job. So let's talk gadgets and let's talk Ed Anderson today. So as I said, last week we spoke about and we clarified what happened with Mr. Richard Godfrey's report and why the community in that field did not approve, or they refuted his findings, and they were all in favor that Whisper could not be used for MH370. Today I will be focusing on Ed Anderson and his amazing work. As you know, Ed was he's an investigator, and he commented on my first video, and it all led to all this investigation into the video I'm doing it today. So I'm gonna start by giving you a small introduction to Ed and Ed's work, and then I will be talking in detail about his investigations. So let's start by saying that Ed is software engineer by trade, but he started as a ham radio operator in his earlier teens. So this is where he got all the knowledge and experience in this field to be able to identify things and to analyze this data and prepare these reports that he did. So it was from years of experience being a ham radio operator. When he found out about the accident with the MH370, he used his spare time to do his investigations. Obviously, he cannot do it. He couldn't do it any other way. His curiosity about what happened to the plane led to his commitment to finding the truth about what happened. I think that's Ed's main goal, and I think it's everyone's main goal. Ed encourages everyone who is curious to do the research and pursue a STEM curriculum. I certainly agree with Ed. I think we need more people with a curious mind that pursue that curiosity, that asks questions, that question things and go and pursue those questions and try to find the answers. We need that, not only for disasters like what happened to MH370, but in other aspects of life, in other aspects of our society. We live in a world full of questions, and we really need people with that spirit, with that curious spirit, that go and pursue that curiosity and pursue that goal of finding those answers. I think that is really, really important. But let's go back to Ed. So as a ham radio operator, Ed understands acoustic, and how acoustic waves propagate, obviously. He is also one of those who believe WSPR cannot be used in the search for MH370. As I said, and this is what triggered his comment on my first video and triggered all of this. He has worked with ATSB, that's another thing, he has worked directly with them on MH370 acoustics, and he has published several reports on his website on the studies and investigations he has made about MH370 and his effort to find an answer for the victims' families. So he has been working and directly with the ATSB, and then he also has published his reports in his website, and you can access all of it. All of the information is on his website, and a lot of it is very interesting. It's really, I would recommend everyone to do that, because it is really, really, really good. So I was very lucky, as I said, I was very lucky that Ed watched my first gadget report earlier this year about Mr. Godfrey's report and left a comment telling me about the inconsistencies that report, so the inconsistencies that the community in this field found about Mr. Richard Godfrey's report, and inviting me, his words, to dig deep and find out more about this. Of course, I accept the challenge, and here I am. So I hope I'm doing a good job. I am very, as I said, I'm reading my notes because it is really a lot of information and I cannot say it all by, on top of my head. I'm very grateful for Ed's help. It was fantastic. He helped me preparing the 2 gadget reports of this month. He has answered numerous emails, and when I say numerous, I say really a huge amount of emails, with lots of questions about this, and he provided me lots of links with information about all of this. Once again, I'll provide all the links below so you can also have access. So in the past months, I just delved into Ed's website and all the links he provided me, and I'm amazed by the fantastic job he has done and his great effort to bring truth to light. I think that's, as I said before, and I repeat, I think that's the main goal, is just to find the truth, find what happened to the plane, where is it, and where is the final resting place for those victims, and get some closure for the families. I cannot imagine how horrible it is to be living with this situation when your loved ones are lost somewhere in the sea and you don't know exactly where, and you don't know exactly what happened. I think it must be horrible, and I do feel for all of them, honestly. So, because I'm not an expert, and I've mentioned this before, in acoustics or seismology or anything regarding to that, Ed has helped me understand the facts, the principles, and the terminology, because this is very important. I could not prepare this gadget report, I could not prepare this if I was not if I could not understand what I was going to talk about. I would not be doing a good job. So what Ed kindly did was explaining to me a lot of the terminology, a lot of the principles behind it, how actually things work, so I could have a clue of exactly the processes and how things were done, and be able to get a more accurate information and prepare a more accurate video for you today. So this is what happened, and I'm really grateful. All the information I will provide today, and as I said, is a compilation of the information I got from Ed's website and other websites like the blog MH370 and other investigations, from where you will find a lot of information from Mr. Victor Iannello, and also from these numerous emails that Ed has sent me with explanations and information, and he helped me a lot to get all of this. The links for all the the sites that I've consulted will be in the description below. So now that we know a little bit about HEAD, we know what he does, let's start talking about his investigation and his work. In a nutshell, because as I said, it wouldn't be possible to do a video, an extensive video about this, because it is a lot of work, it is a lot of reports, obviously, it is a lot of information. So I compiled it, and this is just a summary of what I think is more relevant for you to understand the work. But again, I invite you to visit ED's website and visit MH370 and other investigations blog, because you will find lots of information, images, even sound. There's a sound report of that Java event that I will be talking about today. It's very interesting. I can assure you, you will be amazed with what you will read and what you will find. So in a nutshell, ED's investigation combines acoustic data and seismologic data, and you understand why. It gets you a more accurate result, and that's what HEAD aimed to achieve a more accurate result. HEAD first got interested in this investigation in 2014, as I said, and when he saw the media report about the first hydrophone analysis prepared by Curtin University from Perth, he had a look and he said the map they published showed triangulation with 2 hydrophones, but it looked odd. So what he did, he knew from previous experiences in this field that triangulation path always points towards the closest receiver, which wasn't the case in the Curtin report. After contacting Curtin, and that's what ED has been doing, after contacting Curtin, it became obvious that it happened because the hydrophone array in Cape Lewin got good detection and bearing on the signal, and the Rottnest hydrophone array was just for triangulation. This was the reason why ED found that that happened, that hot thing happened. Had used the data from Curtin University, Curtin University's investigation for months, until he was able to obtain a raw CTBTO hydrophone recordings and analyze them directly. So once he got this data, he got to analyze them directly. He had found an extremely loud noise coming from a site very far south on a flight path that would pass right through the prime search area, which is a good indicator, then 2 hours flight beyond towards Antarctica. This was north of the area where noisy ice flows reach. Ice flows are those, it's that ice surface that crack and then floats away, and obviously it's noisy. But this possibility was excluded by experts due to the plane's fuel range. They thought it would be too far out for MH370 to be able to reach. So this was what happened at the time. From discussions with Alec Duncan, and Mr. Alec Duncan is the main investigator for Curtin University, whom HEAD says encouraged him to pursue his research, he could get the right information. So Mr. Duncan provided ED with the right information on what calibrations he needed to compute accurate sound travel timing across different parts of the ocean. So Mr. Duncan provided him with the calibrations he needed to compute this accurate sound travel timing across different parts of the ocean. This was a massive development. This allowed him to build a global map of hydroacoustic sound speed for average temps. So this is what led to, once he had these calibrations, he could build a global map of the hydroacoustic sound speed for these average temps. Ed explained to me, and as I said, he explained a lot of things. I'm trying to convey all the information Ed has given me, and I'm trying to do the best so you also can understand, because it is obviously a complex matter, and if you're not entirely familiar with the field, it might be hard sometimes to understand. I found that, and that's why I asked so many questions. Had explained to me that other people who have analyzed the hydrophones used simple means of getting a signal bearing for only the strong signals at any moment. Some hydrophones, like the Diego Garcia hydrophones, were dismissed, and he believes it could be for that reason. They only used the strongest ones. Some they were cluttered with loud seismic survey noises. Head notes that Curtin's report used a method to look at second correlation peaks, and they actually picked up this Java event. However, they classified it as a quake. So this event was already picked up in the Java in the Curtin report, but it was then dismissed and classified as a quake. We all know that that area is actually a very seismological area. There's a lot of quakes happening in that area. So Ed developed his own method of examining the even weakest signals coming from any bearing and visually graphing all directions at any moment in time. So he found his own way of doing this and examining all the data that he got. He says that the hydrophone placements needed calibration because he realized that they weren't located exactly where the CTBTO and Curtin said they were. So this is something. So we calibrated precisely those locations, which help him get excellent accuracy by pulling weak signals out of the noise. So this is what, when Ed did all these calibrations and in these precise locations, that's what he found. He continued to provide his findings to relevant investigators, but they were never pursued. So this is unfortunate, but that's what happened. Ed says he noted the Java event earlier and even mentioned it in 2017. That location was too far from the expected location for the crash site. Even Head himself believed he was indeed too far off. So at that stage, and because everyone knows planes have a certain amount of fuel with them, and that only reaches a certain distance usually, and it's common that they always have more fuel than they need to reach the destination, just in case there's some emergency and they need to do an emergency landing and in another airport, or they need to be diverted to another airport. They always have a buffer there. But of course, when you talk about huge distances like we are talking here, it comes a little apparent that it could be very hard to reach there, and that's what Head and the other investigators believed at the time. So then he started analyzing data near Cocos Island. He analyzed a lone seismic signal arrival after dawn, which could be the plane approaching Christmas Island Airport, which is another hypothesis that has been put forward. The island does not have an infrasound array, but Ed found that two seismometers have data from March 2014. One of the stations, AUXMIS, is located in a quiet area at the center of the island, and another station, AUXMI, which is located next to a large hangar at the airport. This second station he says, is largely disturbed by a compressor pump during airport working hours, so there would be a lot of noise coming from there. He found the expected flyby time by the interpolating time and distance on the straight line path between the 5th and the 6th arcs that crosses the island. So as you can see, and you will see on the image, I'll put image, there's the arcs that are in the map, and all of this 5th arc, you will find that this 5th arc will be mentioned a lot because it is where everyone believes that the plane might be within this arc. So Ed found that this time would be approximately 23.58 UTC, so 11:58, 2 minutes to midnight UTC, that's GMT, which means 6:58 AM local time. So this would be at a time where the airport would have been open. And this is very important to note, because if there was a try of a landing of some sorts, it would be important to have the airport open. Later, Ed realized that the Java event he had previously discarded could have been a T-wave reflection of the Java coastline, which would point it closer to the 7th arc. So this is more information. T-waves propagate in the SOFA channel of minimum sound velocity, acting as a waveguide for acoustic energy in the oceans. Just to put you in context, SOFA channel means sound fixing and ranging sound, and it is the zone of minimum sound speed in the oceans that occurs at depths of approximately 1,000 meters. That's what a SOFA channel is. When Ed checked the local seismometers, he found an event that was easily detectable. You can listen to this sound on Ed's website, and I will leave the link below. It is amazing. If you go into his website and you listen to the sound, it is quite remarkable. However, I will note, and I'll leave a note, please don't associate that sound to the plane entering into the water. That is not correct, and Ed corrected me because that's what I was actually inclined to think as well, but that's wrong. If it was actually the plane, it would be when it actually hit the ocean seabed. So be aware of that fact, because Ed also alerted me, and I was also inclined to think that way. So as I said, you can listen. When he started to find the epicenter, he put him right onto the 7th arc, so right on that area. It made sense to him then, because Christmas Island Airport is on a flight path between Cocos Island and the Java event. Ed checked the seismometers there and found that one of them showed a unique sound at the time MH370 would have flown past that area. So there's a lot of things that lead into that direction. In the discussion of his report, Ed says that the waypoint path he presented assumes that the pilot was in control and setting waypoints and altitude into the autopilot. Although he may have not had communication, yaw control, the ability to dump fuel, or even set the landing gear or flaps. So at this stage, Ed thinks that the pilot may have been in control of the aircraft, but he may not have the capacity of setting up all these important things such as communication, and that's why we did not have any communication with any tower, not yaw control, so he could not control the aircraft. So he was basically trying to do the best he could to land the aircraft the best way possible. The low altitude could be due to the pressurization of the cabin, and when there's a depressurization, your oxygen masks go, but they only provide oxygen for a certain amount of time, for I think approximately 20 minutes, until the plane gets into an altitude that is safe for you to breathe on your own. So, and that's why it could be flying, and that's why Ed thinks the plane could have been flying at a low altitude. Ed concluded that if the plane had flown another 100 kilometers, it would land in a relatively unpopulated airport with minimal fuel to reduce the risk of fire. We all know that if there was a lot of fuel in the plane's tanks, which we know that it wouldn't be, because there was a long distance and way bigger than the flight path that was intended for that flight. But if there was the less fuel in the tank, the less the risk of fire, because usually that's what happens. If there's a lot of fuel, it just goes up in flames. And usually in normal conditions, or if the plane permitted, you would be ditching fuel, which in this case we can see it wouldn't be possible. Ed says the lack of an impact acoustic data detection near this site is compatible with the idea of a controlled ditching. So that's what Ed believes, that the pilot was trying to do a controlled ditching, so it would minimize the tragedy, I think. Ed finalizes saying he hopes this gets followed up by researchers and they can confirm this proposed path. I hope that too. I join my wishes to Ed's. I hope his amazing work help authorities to reopen the search, and I truly hope we can find the truth for these guys, and we find the whereabouts of MH370 and we get closure for those families. I will continue follow Ed's website, and I will follow up on his report. If anything comes up, if more information is headed, if any further clues come to light, I will be doing another report, and I will be in contact with Ed, and anything that we have to add to this, I will be very happy to do so. So stick around. Next year you might have a follow-up, who knows. But this is something that I find it's really, really interesting, and maybe can really help to find the answers we are all looking for. And that's all for today. I hope you really loved this gadget report this month as much as I did. It was really a pleasure to do this. It was quite a challenge, as you know. I'm not an expert. I had to learn a lot of things, which was lovely. I love learning new things, and I certainly did in this particular case. It was an absolute pleasure to prepare these reports for you, and to go and dig deep, as Ed said, dig deep and really get to the bottom of this. Once again, I thank Ed for his help. It was really lovely. It was really, I thank him for his kind comment on my first video, and I thank him for months and months of emails and information and help that he has given me. And of course, I invite you all to comment if you have anything to add. But I will note that I will welcome all comments about this subject that are related to the information that was provided. However, I will not, and as I said on my first video, I will not delve into conspiracy theories. Unfortunately, there is a lot of conspiracy theories about MH370, as there is with any accident like this. However, I do believe that what these families need is closure. What these families need is answers, is facts, and we don't need any further conspiracy theories. There's been lots of them pilot era, pilot, well, all sorts of things. If you really read about this disaster, you will know about all the conspiracy theories that have been put forward. And once again, I am not going to delve into this. You are welcome to leave me any comments you wish. I will answer them because that's what I always do. However, if it's about any conspiracy theory, I am going to say that I am not going to pursue it or delve into it, because the idea of preparing these reports and the idea of me doing these videos is to add to the investigation and to help these families get closure. So I don't honestly believe that conspiracy theories will do that, and therefore I will not be commenting on that. So, leave a comment, whatever that might be, I will answer it. And, put a like on the video and subscribe to the channel with a little click on the bell so you get a notification of a new report either every week or every fortnight, because we are at the end of November, and usually December it's a month where I cut short because I will go on my break, and I will have my 2-week break as set this year until the end of the year, and then we will be back for another gadget report. I hope you have a wonderful 2 weeks. See you in 2 weeks. See you then. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.